ils l'ont écrit en leur faveur. Et en ce temps-là, il faut dire que le premier pouvoir mondial, il y a très longtemps, c'était l'Égypte. Et l'Égypte, c'était en Afrique. Et l'Égypte ancien était noir. Vous savez, c'est même pour ça que vous allez voir qu'il y a beaucoup de monuments en Égypte qui n'ont pas d'aînés. Ils avaient bien évidemment détruit les nez parce que le Muntu était reconnu, ou bien le noir était reconnu par son nez épaté. Donc, ils ont détruit les nez pour que, quand on dit que les anciens pharaons étaient des noirs, ils ne vont pas croire. Du coup, ils ont détruit tous les nez. Et une autre chose que j'aimerais ajouter, question d'histoire, c'est par rapport à tout ce que le Romain a installé comme pouvoir. Il y avait comme des règles qu'ils appelaient, qui venaient de Dieu, que tout celui qui doit diriger doit avoir un nez pointu, doit avoir les yeux bleus et doit avoir des petites lèvres. Et en d'autres termes, pour parler de l'impact que cela a sur nous, au bout d'un moment, on n'arrive même plus à parler dans le conseil de nation. Pourquoi? Parce que selon nous, selon ce qui a été établi, le peuple noir était totalement disqualifié de toutes ces lois-là. Et ça s'est installé comme ça au travers le monde. Et le peuple noir est resté tellement derrière. Et pour moi, en tant que Congolais et en tant que communauté congolaise, l'esclavage a eu l'impact tel que nous n'arrivons pas à prendre la parole parce qu'on considère l'autre comme étant plus grand que nous, parce qu'il nous a maté tellement pendant très longtemps que la parole a été prise. Alors, pour moi, c'est un peu en gros l'impact de l'esclavage dans notre communauté, dans la communauté noire en général.
Très bien. Je ne sais pas si je peux résumer tout, mais I'm going to try. I don't know if I can resume everything he said, but I'm going to try, Felicia. So he's saying that looking at the story of slavery, there was a lot of different exit points that people were kind of coming out of slavery. Slavery is a pretty big story. Just saying though that it can be a source of a lot of division in the community though, if we don't really understand where those divisions are coming from. Understanding that even in Africa, there's a diversity of people. It's not that like if you're Black, that means that it's like you're the same ethnic group kind of selling each other. Like he's saying that there's Arab and Black Africans. So the term used was Nilotic or Nilotic, sorry, my stutter, Nilotic. So for those who don't know, Nilotic just means of the Nile. So the group of people who come from that Nile region there, including the Sudanese who look a little bit different from us, those are called Nilotic people. Et puis, en anglais, Daniel, il y a une distinction. On a les Nilotiques là, et puis il y a aussi Afro-Asiatics. Ça, c'est les mélanges là. And then there's people who are like a Black Arab mix. Those are another group of people, and those group of people, sometimes it was them selling the Bantu. So us, I don't know us, like generally in the time of slavery, we would all be considered Bantu people. So the Bantu people, it's a linguistic group that is under what you call the Niger-Congo language group. So we're the largest group of people in Africa. So pretty much the Nigerians all the way down to South Africa. There's some other different type of Africans that you can see, like some Senegalese people might look a little bit different. Some Malians might look a bit different. Technically though, Congolese and Nigerians were seen as different before. Like they weren't seen as Bantu. We are seen as Bantu. Bantu, it's a compound word, which means the people. It's a whole bunch of tribes in Africa, which use the Ntu, like the Ntu to mean people. So Felicia, probably most likely, like you're descended from some Bantu group at some point. It was much easier to for all of us to consider ourselves Bantu at one region. So the Bantu story, it depends who you want to believe. There's two hypotheses of even who we are or where we came from. Like fundamentally, Black people, we actually don't know like our deep origins. Chinese people have a history that goes back 2,000 years. Written history goes back that long. even white people with the Romans. Romans weren't pure white. Greeks weren't pure white. Don't let them try to convince you of that. But they claim that as their kind of long-standing history. With us, it's a little bit strange because Bantu people officially, what they say is that we originated from the Cameroon region. So right at the crux between like West Africa and Central Africa, we were there and then we migrated down and over, like over and down to conquer the rest of all of Africa. Um, so this theory is interesting because Africa, like, so what makes us different from other African groups who were the indigenous people, so we're not indigenous in that part of Africa, like where we're at, like we landed there. So that's why people ask you, how come you guys didn't build all these castles and all these things? Like, we were recent arrivals there. And what made us different is that we were iron workers. Like, we knew how to melt iron and do those kind of things there. We knew how to cultivate differently from the original Africans. They say that we were just overpopulated and decided to move. Other people scratch their heads, be like, why would a bunch of people just decide to move? Like, where would they get all this pottery? Where would they get this ironworking technology if they were just isolated in one part of Africa there? So some people say, no, we migrated down from Egypt, like not West Africa, but like on the east side, explaining why we were carrying, we knew how to build empires, we knew how to farm, we knew how to do a lot of these things that like what they say, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a big contradiction because they say Africans had no technology, could do nothing. But if you look at colonization in its purest sense, like when you go take a land that like other people didn't really, conquer or do that, like we're the ones who really did it. Like that migration is the biggest mass movement in history of people. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. We were supposed to focus on slavery, but yes, I guess it is important to know that most slaves were slaves called Bantu people. I saw Gaylor had his hand open. I'm gonna go to you, Gaylor, quick. I just want to show another quick slide here, just because Congolese, I don't think we often see this here. Like if we see like the number, this is the Wikipedia page again, and this is the different groups brought to the Americas, closely correspond with the region, blah blah blah. You can read it, and the big one is always Congo. This is a tribe, Bakongo, but when they used to take slaves from that region, they would just call you a Bakongo, even if you were whatever, they would bring people down to the coast and take them out. But it's almost like a strange conspiracy of silence where uh, people don't really see this. People will claim their Nigerian ancestry, like if you watch people do like ancestry DNA tests or those kind of things, but very, very rarely really claim like that Congo side of things there. So from this part of the things here, I want you guys to keep in mind the divisions or the hurts, the scars that carry on from this time here that still affect us today, whether that's the denial of our participation in the slave trade, reclaiming our story, understanding we weren't just people who sold slaves, understanding the context within which people sold slaves. So think through that as we go through our community mapping exercise that we're going to do in a little bit here. The next historical time period that I want us to kind of look through a little bit better is to look at the colonization period and to see how that shifted things even further or like brought more the division. So before that, we were just Black people. Then we were different kinds of Black people within Africa. We were Bantu, we were Nilotic, and we were Afro-Asiatic people. The Afro-Asiatic people and the Nilotic Blacks had history, like like how like Ethiopians can claim to never be colonized and they have churches that are super old. Somalis, Sudanese, like North Sudanese people, like they all were claimed to have a history even by science, but the ones who were denied all of that was us. And that had an impact that started in that time period there. When colonialism hit, the divisions became a little bit different there. So there's division. So nationalism kind of came up. So colonialism is a process that started in the mid to late 1800s. There was something called the Scramble for Africa, where European powers all went to Africa and all kind of claimed uh, a piece of it for themselves in order for Europe to continue to be prosperous. The effects that it had on us was they transplanted their political system in our countries. Now, these things that never existed before, like being Congolese wasn't a thing before they created the country of Congo. The country of Congo, the country of Nigeria, the country of Ivory Coast, all of these are very recent things. We claim those to be our identity. We claim those to be like our true story, but that's not really our beginnings, you know? And so oftentimes when you even hear like Caribbean people and African people talking, you'll tell a Caribbean person, you came from Africa. They'll tell you, I'm not a Nigerian. You see, it's like a weird, it's a like we don't go back to like what we originally were. It's true, he's not a Nigerian. Nigeria is something forged. They put these Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, they mix them in a pot and they had their own struggle. And then you have Nigeria, you know? But is that truly our true African essence, or are we holding on to something else here? Because once nationalism came and once we started to think of ourselves as completely different groups, that affects how we connect here in Calgary, because all your community groups are largely based on countries. It's not what, like, there are the racial divisions there for sure. Racial oh sorry, not racial, like we're the same race, but I guess like the divisions, African Americans, African Americans, Caribbeans, African Americans, this, you know. But not understanding what colonialism did and not understanding that those borders that they put are completely fake, completely made up, not understanding that the language that they gave us to speak was their language, not have anything to do with us whatsoever. You know, it becomes really important to see how that impacted us here. For me personally, like a personal anecdote of how like this got to me is like when I was in high school and stuff, and we were learning history and we were learning about like colonialism, or like the small portion that we even touch on it. Normally, you're just learning European history. But when we touch on the colonial side of things, it's like the white people felt like, oh, we came through and like we kind of helped you though. Like at the end of the day, like sorry for slavery, but you know, you guys had diseases, you guys were killing each other like wild animals, you guys didn't know anything. So at the end of the day, might be more of a fair trade-off. And that like bothered me so much, but I just didn't, I wasn't equipped to respond though. I didn't know what to say to, you know, like dismantle what he was putting down, because like so that's one thing. That the second thing about colonialism that people or I found that helped me was it was always spoken of this like one-way street. You know, Europeans came to help us with this. No one talks about the contributions even during that time that Africans were making. So what's an example of this? So we know of the economics things, uh, resources being sent to Europe, and they traded and they got rich. But beyond that, there's a lot of countries in Europe that owe their whole survival even to like Africa. Like in World War II, um, Belgium and France like lost everything. Like Belgium was completely run over by the Germans in like, I think like a week. Like they barely fought, you know. But where was Free Belgium? Free Belgium was Congo. You know, like you lost your whole thing, but they were able to run their whole administration through Congo, fight the war through Congo. You know, and these are things that you'll never hear them give you credit for. After the war ended up ending in Europe, Europe was devastated, completely devastated. All the men were dead. They needed immigrants to start coming to Europe to help rebuild the country. Guess who they chose to go to Europe before the people whose country that they ended up taking? They took the Arabs from North Africa to go to Europe to help the same Arabs who like 300 years ago were trying to conquer the whole thing. They went back to those same people, invited them to go into Europe to help them rebuild. Even though those people kept their religion, they were still us. We became Christian. We started to adopt their language, but they took those people above us because they thought that they were better than us and more educated than us and had a history and can handle things. Congolese were left behind in Africa. And I just think like I bring that it's pretty funny when you see like all the problems they have like with terrorism in Europe, all the problems they have with groups not integrating properly. All of these have a connection. All of these have a link, or even the way Africans are seen in Europe. There, our contributions, what we did, it's almost like we don't claim that just as much. Maybe that anecdote isn't going to be as relevant when we start doing the community mapping, but thinking through division scars, carry over things that are coming from our story there is going to be important. I spoke for way longer than I was planning to speak there. I do apologize, but I know Papa Guélor, tu as toujours quelque chose à ajouter? J'avais vu ta main levée là, mais j'ai parlé un peu trop.
Bon, je pense que vous avez, toi et Daniel, vous avez déjà eu à vraiment balayer d'une manière générale euh, les sujets en question. Tout ce que j'aimerais juste ajouter et éclairer un peu l'opinion, c'est, j'aimerais juste parler un peu le même contexte, mais par rapport à l'actualité actuelle. Je pense que les mêmes Occidentaux cherchent, ils continuent à jouer à l'RG jusqu'au jour d'aujourd'hui. Parce que si nous voyons tout ce qui se passe dans nos pays respectifs, bien sûr, vous verrez par exemple le cas de Libye. Vous savez tout ce qui s'est passé à Libye là-bas. Ils viennent dans quel sens? Ils pensent, ils nous font penser que voilà, le gouvernement qui était là en place avant, ces gens-là ont pillé. Et j'aimerais tirer aussi un mot que Daniel a dit là au cours de son résumé. Daniel a dit quelque chose que vous verrez aujourd'hui dans tous les villages du pays. Il y a toujours des divisions. Il y a telle tribu et telle tribu ne s'entendent pas. Mais ça ne se trouve pas qu'au village au jour d'aujourd'hui. C'est devenu une situation vraiment nationale. Même au niveau du gouvernement central. Il y a des divisions, il y a des racismes, il y a des tribalismes plutôt, pas possible au niveau national. Je prends juste les cas de notre pays. Félix Tshisekedi est devenu président de la République. Mais tout ça, c'est l'œuvre des Occidentaux. Ils veulent toujours diviser pour qu'ils aient une même mise dans nos richesses, dans la gestion du pays, tout ça. Donc, je pense qu'ils ont cherché un peu à mondialiser, ou soit à structurer un peu leur manière de coloniser. Ouais, dans le temps, c'était vendre les gens, amener les gens quelque part pour s'en servir, tout ça, tout ça. Et je pense qu'ils ont changé leur façon de faire. Vous voyez, cette même façon de faire continue jusqu'au jour d'aujourd'hui. Hein? Je pense qu'ils les font par procuration, c'est-à-dire qu'ils les jouent via nos autorités qui eux-mêmes décident de mettre à la tête du pays. Vous comprenez? ils continuent à nous mater via nos mêmes dirigeants, via nous-mêmes les enfants du pays. Vous comprenez? Chose que moi, personnellement, je n'admets pas. Et très souvent dans mes interventions, ou soit dans mes analyses politiques, je fais souvent dans mes groupes, dans les autres groupes, je dis toujours que les Noirs doivent être unis dans la même idée, ils doivent avoir la même vision, voir sur la même direction pour chercher un peu à mettre de côté sous tous ces oppresseurs qui viennent toujours nous diviser pour qu'ils viennent régner et voler nos richesses. Voilà, un peu. C'est quelque chose vraiment qui me dérange très souvent. Vous voyez, nous-mêmes, on s'entretue, ils nous vendent des armes, on s'entretue, et même ne s'en servent pas. Vous voyez, ils créent des situations là autour de quelque chose pour continuer à être toujours au centre de tout. J'aimerais que nous, les Noirs, nous puissions nous réveiller et dire non aux Occidentaux. Ou soit, bon, ce n'est pas tous les Occidentaux qui sont au centre de tout ça. Il y a des là aussi qui voient la vie d'une autre manière. Vous voyez? Mais qu'on soit au moins unis pour voir dans la même direction et chercher à évoluer notre pays, nos structures. Voilà. C'est un peu en résumé ce que j'allais ajouter par rapport au contexte actuel.
Très bien. So what Gaylor is saying is that he says that we also have to see this in look to see how this is still relevant today. He's saying that the colonial game is the same game that was being played back then, with just very minor changes now. And to see how Black people have been responding to this as a people is something that leaves a little something to be desired in terms of our being unified, in terms of us understanding what's happening to us just kind of waking up. It seems to be a little bit frustrating that we're so vulnerable to such basic attacks or like a basic simple game that we should be able to see, or we should be able to figure out what other groups are doing to us, but we don't really learn, and we afford them the opportunity to kind of refine their exploitation or their colonization. Like they got high tech with it, and we're still kind of dealing with the same things there. So let me just go to Felicia real quick. Felicia, can you, like we're talking everything here from kind of like one perspective, can you just maybe shed light about how these issues play out for like your community members, or how we can attempt to hear, I don't know, both groups? Is that a good question?
No, say it again. Like, what are you asking?
I'm saying, so like we're discussing these big historical themes here. We got on a theme about slavery, colonialism. I just wanted to see, like, from the Caribbean side of things, like how are these issues relevant on your side, and like how are they discussed? Like let's say we talked about slavery and the story that's told about slavery as being a source of division amongst the groups, and it's a source of division that we can even still notice today in our community. So wondering what the Caribbean perspective would be around some of these things, like how you feel, how, or maybe like what are the things you hear, or I don't know, just your
Yeah.
personal take on it.
Yeah, so we kind of have the same sort of division with us too. Like a lot of, because there were some countries in the Caribbean that were colonized by the English, and some colonized by the French, and some from the Spanish. So we do definitely have division. I feel like it's more when people migrate from the Caribbean to like foreign, as it called down there, like whether it's the States or whether it's Canada. Because when I've gone to Trinidad or gone to other Caribbean countries, they talk about, like, I know there's always like there's like a beef, or there's like division between like Jamaicans and Trinidadians. Like Trinidadians don't cook like Jamaicans do, and their accents different. Their patois, which is like the language that it's like called broken English, it's called patois that they speak. But Trinidadian patois is different from Jamaican patois. So there is a lot of that division, but for some reason, I feel like it's more here up in North America than it is down there. Because when I go down there, my cousins in Trinidad don't really know about the whole Jamaicans against Trinidadians thing, but that's a big thing here. Like, it's like it's like, how dare you call, like, a lot of people in North America know about Jamaica. So like when they see me and they ask if I'm from the Caribbean, and I say yes, and they're like, oh, you're from Jamaica, man, right? And I'm like, no, there's other countries in the Caribbean besides Jamaicans. So yeah, so I feel like the division is probably more up here, as we are immigrants up in Canada and the States.
What about the division between Caribbeans and Africans? Is that more in North America too than down there, or like how have you heard that or seen that manifested?
I think so too, because my cousin, she refers to herself as, maybe it's because, like, especially in Trinidad, there's a lot of different races. Like, it's heavily populated by Indians. Like, my grandma was a full East Indian woman. Like, she moved from India to Trinidad and met my grandpa, and then they had my dad, and then my dad had me, obviously. So I'm like a quarter Indian. So like there's a lot. I think the division is so my cousin will call herself African. She's like, yeah, so like us Africans and those Indians and the Chinese, and so they actually refer to themselves as Africans. But when you get up here, like, heaven forbid someone, I'm sure you've probably heard a lot of Caribbean people say, like, I'm not African. They'll say, like, you're African? No, I'm not African. And they get offended that you're calling them Africans. Like, no, I'm Caribbean. And then especially if you try to say, like, I've heard people say, well, you did come from Africa, which is true. We were slaves brought from Africa to the Caribbean islands. So they'll say, like, oh, well, your history is African, you know? And they're like, yeah, that's long time ago. It's almost like washed out. It's like they almost want to like erase that from themselves. And I don't get it. I hear it a lot and I've never understood it, but because I know, like, I just did my ancestry DNA and it says like 19% or 22% Congolese and like 24% like Nigerian, and you know, so I have all those, like, a lot of back, and then it's like 4% like the Caribbean said, something like that. So it's like I'm actually more African than I'm even Caribbean. So I don't know. I feel like it's up here that it's a lot of that, and I don't know why. I don't understand why it is. Like, it's maybe us trying to have our own identity. I don't know, but it's definitely more here than it is down there.
I asked my wife the question too, and she says, like, until Africa is respected, until like Congo or Nigeria, these places have a good reputation, no one's gonna want to be associated with you. I think like that's another factor. But yeah, like I find this to be one of the most maddening kind of discussions. It's like we will fight. Like, for me, being French speaker, if I hear a Nigerian talk their pidgin, I don't think it's really that different from a Jamaican, you know. Yeah, they're gonna use different slang, but the way I look at a Nigerian is pretty much the same way I look at a Jamaican. I'm like, yeah, you're just over there, but you're gonna mess the language up in the same way. And I don't know, like I see like
and to be honest, a lot of Jamaicans, like, ancestries are from Nigeria. It's straight up, like,
it's just so obvious. And then you wanna like we always get in this kind of loop, this cycle, and it's never ending, whether it's in our proper country itself, whether it's here. It's really good. So I think it's good. We got a good historical context here. I'm just gonna ask Pastor Ndembe if he has something to say to close this up. And then we're going to run through we're not going to do the exercise because we took up all the time, but I'm going to set it up so that we can get right into it when we meet up on Monday.
Well, it's good that we are pondering and discussing on these things. Well, are very hard issues to talk about now. I don't know how much we are affected in this generation. Maybe, yeah. The impact that they have in our lives, we can see why those divisions and also that is also, we can say that we carried that from the past. But one thing first, I want to tell you, if slavery took that kind of, it became like ça a pris cette ampleur. I will say that it is because of our cultural setting, the way maybe we think. Because I think slavery was not brought by the white or whatever who came, but it was in our own concept. In many our kingdoms, we had slavery too. The people slave, and I have where I come from. We have the matriarchal, system. We call it matriarcha. But you know what? In that system, there's a concept of slavery. That means like to the side of your father, the sister of your father will see you like a slave. So they think that they have the power to do whatever they want to do of your life. Whether now on the side of your mom, that's where you are a king. So that, and then you have to take care of the people who come from your side. The systems, all the things that we had already that concept. So it was easy for them to sell people. Oh, you need for little money, then they said. So it's also a concept not only from that, but you can see if you read the Bible, slavery was there. The people were sold and what so. And this to tell that is a human problem. Even in Europe, wherever there's this kind of slavery. But why that we suffer most of that? Because of our mindset, we are maybe slow changing our mind. We value less each other. I think that's what I would say. We value less. Last time when I was in Congo, the airport, I was just entering there. These people, it was like a joke. They were, the guy was laughing. But I heard that, but I had to correct that. It wasn't my business. But one of us was telling, hey, I can buy you. Literally in English, it makes it like, and I say, oh, and then I intervene and say, for how much? Oh, this one is even for little franc. Then to me, it said, how you value, it's a joke, but it is a mindset. And I say, no. You don't use that language. You cannot do that, even if it is your brother, Congolese brother. And they laugh, but for me, those things, they are settled in the mind of the people. If anything can change, we need to change our mind, how we value one another. I think if we value, let's say that we Congolese or we Black, we start giving value to one another, then these people will value us. Because if we don't value ourselves, guess what? they will take us to the place where we are. Because it bothers me to see that when talking about Congo, colonization, the people who fought during colonialism, who wanted it. Are you okay there?
No, keep going. Yeah, I'm just setting up.
The people who fought for the independence in our countries, as far as education is concerned, I think they were very limited and low educated people than we are today. And nowadays we are learning with those our friend whites. We are wrestling in school the same, and yet they're still capable to come and manipulate us again. I say, why then? You go to school, then sometimes you can even write it in there. But when it comes to life, he comes and manipulates you. So why is that? I think it's the way we value. It's not the dedication we lack or no. I think to me, I'm just observing how we are very slow to change our mindset. What it's valuable to us, it is what. I can tell you, well, if I talk about my country, I think money is more valuable than anybody in the context where I come from. People value more material money than human beings. So, and then it's easy to sell even the country, to sell whatever you have, provided you get the money, because you don't care about anything. And in the Bible, I don't want to talk the Bible or preach to you, but if you read it just for interest, you could see how somebody mentioned about the Jew and whatever I say. That is really a key thing. And you can see it from Abraham. Abraham said he could not sell any, exchange anybody from his side for what? For a peanut or for something. No. Let's impress us in our mind, especially young people. Let's value one another. And there's nobody who is less than another. Even if we are different, the difference will always be there. The other time I was telling, like I said, it is because they are it is diversity which makes unity. If there were no other diversity, there will be no need of unity. So we need to recognize that we are diverse, and because we are diverse, that's why we need to come together so that we can work together. That concept of seeing somebody less value than you, I think we need to work on it. A human being is a human being. I always say that even if he's poor, you don't take him because that poverty, that state of poverty, and because he is poor, that he's less than a human. No, he's still a human, a fully human. Let's give that value there, and that's what I see. It's helping these people that we talk about come to manipulate us. If I had a time, I would just say, why when in Kenya, we accommodated two friends from France, the whites. And these people, they came to Africa just to steal. They went country from country stealing. That's where they live. Now, who will believe that the white will go to Africa to steal? No, people don't think about it. But this, I'm telling you, is the truth case. And then when they came to Africa, the gospel hit them. They changed their style of life, and they had no income because they came to Africa to steal. So they were very poor people. And then they came to Kenya. They were looking for somebody. I was a pastor there. It happened that we accommodated them for some weeks. But they came from France. One thing which really I learned from there, we had another friend who's a Dutch, and he came and found them at our place, and he heard the story. That guy had some income because of the value of the white man, he gave them money to send them back to France. He, no, I don't want to see you. He gave them a money. He's a Dutch, but because of the color, he said, no, I need to value these people. That's the way they managed to go back to France because they had no money they could use to go to travel back to home. And then I learned something from there. Let's value one another. Let me stop from there.
Okay, thank you. I think that's a good conclusion for that first part. We were supposed to work on this activity today. If you guys all see my screen there, we've talked through a lot of these concepts that we were supposed to talk through. It's now just time to capture some of these things and document these things. That is important as well. So we're going to try to document a lot of these ideas that we have starting Monday. This is fine. We can be a little bit behind. So I'm just going to read this really fast so everybody understands. Give me like 5 minutes. I know that we're extra. We're going extra time right now, but we'll finish up really soon. So the exercise is my community profile. So every community is unique, shaped by its location, its history, its people, and its experiences. To be better able to talk about your community and its assets, complete this my community profile exercise with respect to the community you identified in workshop 1. We identified the Calgary Congolese community in workshop 1, for those who were there on Monday. So what we're going to be going through is kind of this sheet here. I just want to set it up a little bit because what I want to do is starting Monday is we're going to divide the team in two. And each group is going to try to fill in an example of this and then present it to the other side. So we're all going to do a Calgary Congolese community. First question there is pretty easy. Location is there. The example here states a sparsely populated rural area. History. This is just the example, this one. This community experienced a series of tragedies and crises over several years: the death of a beloved teacher, an alcohol-related car crash, the suicide of a student, and the closing of a local canning company. Anecdotally, parents and others are noticing an increase in alcohol and other drug use and a sense of hopelessness amongst the young people. Our first asset champions. In this community, it's a pastor, a number of parents, a business owner, the high school principal, just an example. Motivation for beginning the journey. People start to talk about their fears that young people are struggling, that there may be many more crises if nothing is done. The school principal, the business leader, and several parents all attend the pastor church. They have different reasons for being concerned, but they realize that they are all invested in making positive change. Key sectors involved for them is schools and congregation. They're going to go here, priorities, giving people a chance to share their grief and concerns, introducing immediate action that people can take to feel like they are doing something in response to what has happened. First steps, gather people to talk, share, process, and then move into planning and goal setting. This can be accomplished through the following: public listening sessions, adult education time at the church, parents meetings at the school, a town meeting. Roadblocks. There is not a lot of institutional investment. Some people are still very much in the process of healing. It is often difficult for people to move towards focusing on a positive vision. Community strengths. An incredible passion has grown out of pain. There are lots of informal opportunities to work together. People know each other, so change can begin quickly. Youth can be brought on board. This occurs mostly on a case-by-case basis through existing affiliations, family, congregation, schools. A youth advisory council is eventually developed when the initiative becomes established. I'm not going to read out the rest, but I always find it helpful in facilitations to run through an example, or this example, it's the same one I use all the time, but of just a completely different community. So we talked about our story, we talked about our history, we talked a little bit about our struggles. Like we didn't really hammer down like kind of like the imposter syndrome that happens within our community as well, but we can expand on that like when we start getting into the meat of this exercise. So you'll see that some of the points there we have talked about through the group discussion portion, some not so much. It's going to shift a little bit how we view our community once we kind of have it written down. So obviously what we're gonna write, it has nothing to do with what I just wrote, with what I just read, but point by point, we're gonna try to do something that can reflect the community that we come from. So that's what we'll do. Would it be helpful to send that out to you guys? Like, is that, like, would that help or? It would? Okay.
Yes.
I'll send it out to you. It's part of like a really big PowerPoint. I'll try to like do a snippet of it. Okay, no, Christian, yeah, I'll try to do a snippet of it to send it to you, and then we'll do it that way. And then, yeah, that also work. If I don't send things out, like Felicia, can you just like send me a yell face or an angry face, or like I have a lot going on and things like slip my mind and I forget all the time. So I'll try to get this on to you guys, and then hopefully starting next week, we're almost halfway through. Clap, everybody. We're getting there. We are making it. Hopefully from this point on, it won't just be me that you guys are going to be hearing from. Like other people come on board, teach stuff, and go from there. It's just a bit about getting things started. So overall, you guys felt good about this session? Decent session. I felt decent about it as well. So that's good. So now I'm gonna ask Raisa, Felicia, Katia, or Jamil, anybody who sings, we gotta sing happy birthday for Pastor Ndembe. He's been here, we can't forget. Who's gonna start? Felicia from the Caribbean. I know you're in a choir. You have to be able to.
Where's Ashley?
You guys don't want I don't know where she is. You guys don't want me to sing. Ok, Gaylor, est-ce que tu peux entonner Happy Birthday? On doit chanter Happy Birthday pour le pasteur Ndembe. C'est son anniversaire aujourd'hui. Felicia a dit non, et puis les autres n'ont même pas dit un mot là, donc on doit quand même avancer.
Il est en mute, non?
Pastor Ndembe, we're going to sing for you. Are you there? Is he there?
Oh.
His camera's off, but he says he's there.
Hold on.
Tonton David? Il n'est même pas là.
Ok, on ne peut pas chanter s'il n'est pas là. C'est. Let me call him real quick. Because he said people were going to be.
Maybe he's sleeping.
Did you guys like that those games before? Like, how do you guys feel about that game we started out with?
It was really fun.
I hate it.
Yeah, it was good.
It was good? Okay, we're gonna try another one next time. Pastor Ndembe. Tonton David. Oh, he went off again. Hello, Tonton David, we want to sing for you, but you're on mute.
Still hear us.
Oh, somebody called you. Okay. Oh, no problem. If you're able to come back on the camera real quick, you're back. Okay, cool. All right, just turn on your video and take off the mute so that Papa Gaylor can really sing the song properly.
So I sing one time in English and one time in French.
Perfect.
Ooh, that's good English, Gaylord. Okay.
Is there?
Yeah.
Happy birthday to you. 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday.
Oh, you sound very far.
Okay, only Gaylor.
You sound very far. Thank you very much.
I have the experience of singing birthday song on Zoom. Always chaotic.
Happy birthday to you.
Way.
That must be Congolese. Ils savent bien chanter.
Vraiment.
Thank you very much.
Joyeux anniversaire, Papa Ndembe. Joyeux anniversaire.
We need to start a choir. Yes, we do.
Thank you.
Là,
Merci beaucoup. Hein?
je dois apprendre. Je suis là, tu ne m'aides pas. Non, il faut.
Corona.
Huh?
Corona.
Raisa, can you sing too? Your church, man. When I go, you guys really You guys break it down.
Okay.
Are you a singer? I just want to know.
You sound very far. I don't hear you very well.
You are? Okay, good stuff. All right, guys. Thank you, guys. Next birthday, Raisa singing. So
Okay.
it's good. I think that's everything, unless somebody else had something to say. No. All right. Happy weekend, guys. We'll see you guys back Monday.
All right.
All right. See you guys.
Thank you.
Daniel.